got Jesse Schule joining us for prop bets on this game. We got Steve Merril joining us to give you the side on this game. I'll give you a total later on. Teddy Covers as well will be joining us. He's going to give us a look ahead for this coming weekend in the NFL. Lines already out. Buffalo playing Baltimore -1. We got Kansas City -7.5. And the Lions at -8.5, 9. We're going to look at everything today. Stay with us all the way. We're going to end with Gianni the Greek. Steve Merril off of a 3-0 NFL sweep yesterday. Welcome to the show, my friend. And what were those plays?
Yeah, it was a nice Sunday. You know, Sunday's Prez in general have been just incredible. We were 14-2 the previous 5 Sundays on best bets. We're now 17-2, and everyone keeps thinking, "Oh, well, that's random." Whatever. 27-12 on the NFL since early November, the last 2 months to finish the regular season. We were 24-12. We're now 27-12. Had a couple unders. You know, I probably only used maybe a couple unders all season, and I had 2 of them yesterday because it's playoff time, and boy, things are different. Buffalo, Denver under, Philly, Green Bay under. Both had 7 points scored in the first 3 minutes. And they still stayed under rather easily. Just shows why you got to take a long-term approach in watching these things, man. It's a roller coaster ride. And then I had maybe my Washington Commanders. Future Commander fan. I've got the future Redskin beanie. First time I've rooted for them ever since they became the Commanders because we had to play on them at +3. And, man, I was so close to jumping on the bandwagon, but their run will probably end this week in Detroit.
Well, there we go. Steve Merril joining us, everyone. We got one game left. The Vikings, they are -2 in most places, Steve. They're playing the Rams. And what we saw on Saturday is something is on the mind of LA players, and it might not be football. Do you take that into account tonight, and how should we bet this game?
Yeah, I did a standalone video for this a couple days ago, and I always read the comments. I reply back, including these shows. So please comment, thumbs up, like. The more thumbs up, likes, the more comments, the more shows and videos we do. It's that simple. And a lot of people have been asking me that, you know, and my short response is that it's not a positive. Whether it's worth anything in the point spread, though, I'm not so sure. Yes, the Chargers didn't look good, but keep in mind, they outplayed the Texans in the first quarter. So it's not like they came in flat. They actually had a good first quarter. So I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. I don't follow hockey, Prez. I know you do, but someone mentioned the Kings went outright as a dog, I think, last week when they were traveling right after it. So I don't personally factor it in. I will say I don't think it's a positive, but it's not enough for me to stay on or off a side or adjust the spread. What is interesting about this venue change is that on the surface, it doesn't look like the line moved any. But if you dig deeper in it, you know, the great thing about the WagerTalk free live odds screen is you can click on the line history. And you'll notice last week that Minnesota was only a 1-point favorite last Tuesday. The line went up to 2.5 by Thursday because I think people were front-running it, knowing that a lot of sports books nowadays do not cancel the bets like they used to when there's a venue change. So when they relocated to Arizona on Thursday night, Friday morning, the line stayed the same. But this line would have only been 1.5 probably in L.A. It's 2.5 now in Arizona. They played on Thursday night a couple months ago, of course. And on the short week, the Rams went outright as a 3-point home dog. About 70% of the fans in the stadium were Viking fans. So I'm not sure they're going to have much of a home field advantage. And I'll even make the argument, I think it would have been more of a distraction for LA to be at home still. I think this actually helps the Rams being in Arizona. They took their family with them, their pets. Everybody was allowed to come. They've been there for several days now. I don't think it'll be an issue. And I do think the Rams are a live dog in this game. You mentioned how the line is now 2, was 2.5, 2 in a lot of spots. We briefly saw a 3 on Saturday afternoon at DraftKings, you know, and that's just one book, but it's a big book. But we're not seeing 3s anymore. And the Circa went to 2 this morning, which is another major book. I think the Rams make an excellent teaser. Teddy will be on later. I believe he did a segment last week, Prez, about not doing teasers in the NFL playoffs. But, man, I can't resist some of these teaser lines this week. The Rams tonight +8, 8.5, I think is solid. And then next weekend, of course, you'd have to tie it up with something. How about the Kansas City Chiefs at home in a basic straight-up win situation on the teaser against the overrated Texans? It was 7.5. It's now 8. You can get Kansas City down to 2. So a little bit of a two-teamer for you there. Rams teaser tonight, and you can tie them up with Kansas City -2. Even Detroit -2.5 next week as well on Saturday is available. Getting those rested number 1 seeds and straight-up win situations against somewhat phony Washington, Houston teams is pretty tempting as well.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. 3-0 yesterday in the NFL on a 17-2 run, his last 6 NFL Sundays. So what he's talking about is worth listening to, that is for sure. And just as good as he is in NFL, same in college football. Let's turn our attention to the national championship game, Steve. Ohio State is -8. There is a total on tap of 46 in this game. How are you betting this? Any early leans?
So I did free play videos for both of the semifinal games, as I always do, and didn't really like much in that Penn State game. Kind of leaned under, but I said I thought the total was a little low. I made it around 48. It was around 45, and it was been exactly 48 had they not had the late field goal to win. The Ohio State Notre Dame game, I also gave out the under as a free play in the video, but I like that one better because I made that total in the mid to high 40s, and it was 50. What was it, 53, I believe? It was over that key number of 51, and it did stay under rather easily. You had two of the best defenses in the country. The look-ahead line, Prez, they had bettable lines at FanDuel last week on all the possible matchups, and Ohio State was projected to be about a 9.5-point favorite in this game, and the total was going to be about 47, 48 at different books. When it opened, they opened at 9.5, right on spot. Now it's dropped down to 8.5, 8. So we have seen it come down. We're not going to get that key number of 10. Never really looked like we were going to. The total, though, opened around 46, and it's even now 45.5 in some spots. So my point is the total's been adjusted more than expected from the look-ahead line, and that, of course, is because both teams didn't show much offensively. They looked pretty good defensively in the last game. So I'm not sure there's a lot of value left with the under at this point, especially since these title games sometimes become a little weird in the second half especially. And if Notre Dame gets behind in this game, being a run-based offense, they could have some trouble catching up. So I'm starting to think maybe a better approach here is a first half under 23, or even getting a little more creative with the first quarter. Now, this line is really important. Right now, as you check the WagerTalk free live odds screen, you'll see that 10 under 30 is the consensus first quarter line, but there are some spots that have 9.5 over 20. Obviously, 10 is a very key number. You got to get 10 if you're playing that first quarter under. But you got to expect both teams to come out conservative. We see this a lot in the Super Bowl. A first quarter under in the Super Bowl was one of my favorite props for many years. And Notre Dame being a run-based offense can definitely kind of milk that clock early while the game is still close. Two of the best defenses in the country. Not a lot of value left with the under because they've adjusted it down, but that first quarter still sitting in that key number of 10 might be worth a look. So if you're looking to play something early rather than later, if you can lock in 10 under first quarter, that might be worth an advanced look this week.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone. Steve, we've talked about how great you are, my brother, and you are excellent. We do have a current NFL playoff special. It is still up. It is $149 till the end of the Super Bowl. Listen, worth using on you. You've been absolutely seeing the NFL exceptionally well. Congratulations again on a 3-0 sweep. Are you also killing it in hoops?
Yeah, we're going to be ramping it up now in January with basketball. In fact, I'll be doing some college basketball videos. We've kind of doing some quick videos instead of the live show to get things up faster. I'll have two of the bigger games tonight here in about an hour and a half on the channel. So be sure to click subscribe, click that bell for an instant alert so you get those free college basketball plays I'll have up later this afternoon. And yes, the playoff special is still available. I know you're kicking yourself. You missed three winners yesterday, but half of the playoffs remain. I do have a best bet tonight, and that promo code is playoffs. It's pronounced playoffs. You get a 25% discount for the rest of the postseason right now through Monday night. Or if you want basketball, consider an all sports all access. I was up 133 units of profit in 2024 on client best bets. We more than doubled our bankroll last year, and we're looking to do it again in 2025. Full 365 days and nights for about $1 a play when you use promo code SM365. SM365 gets it down to about $1 a play. Instant $811 discount on my 1-year all access. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and you know how to get there quicker. WT.buzz/SM.
Steve Merril, everyone. Big show still going on. Jesse Schule will be joining us. Teddy Covers and Gianni the Greek. I want to tell you guys, the national championship game, obviously it's in a while from now, but we are doing a Bet on It national championship preview show. Kelly, Marco, and Joe, they're going to talk sides, totals, and prop bets. So stay tuned. I don't know when that game will be. Bet on it now. It's up. It's up now. I have my producer Dan in my ear telling me that national championship preview is up now. When did they tape it, Dan? Wow, taped yesterday. So Kelly, Marco, and Joe spent NFL Sunday taping the national championship preview Bet on It show. So make sure to check that out. That show is so well received, and all three of them are so good at what they do. Prop bets, total, side, everything you can want to bet on the national championship game is provided on that show. Check it out over at WagerTalk.tv, our YouTube channel. Jesse Schule joining us. What time? I know you live in Bangkok or Thailand, or what time are these games on for you, Jesse?
Yeah, first NFL game kicks off at 1 a.m. and I did watch some games yesterday. I got off to a perfect 3-0 start in the wild card round, but that Tampa Bay game was a bit of a disaster. I really needed that overtime to hit some props and hit the Tampa bet, but didn't happen. So 3-2 start. Not the worst, I guess.
Well, that's better than me, dude. I went 1-3 for my clients. I'm still reeling. I had the Chargers as a big play. I also had the over in last night's game and the Buffalo game. It didn't work. I did have one winner, though. I will tell you this, though, Jesse. There were so many mistakes made this weekend. It shocks me that we get to the playoffs and, Todd Bowles, although got bailed out, doesn't understand how to use timeouts at the end of the first quarter. We had referees that were just horrible, horrible, horrible. Mike Tomlin's ability to not go for it when he should is legendary. Harbaugh, how the Chargers didn't go for it on 4th and inches after that first turnover. Anyway, that stuff's all in the past. Any thoughts on wildcard weekend?
Yeah, you mentioned the crazy NFL games and the bad officiating. I still think back to when they had replacement refs and everybody was up in arms about how bad they were. But the whole time I was thinking, have you guys not watched the NFL? It's like this all the time.
Yeah. I mean, the missed holding call in the Buffalo game was unbelievable. There was it the semifinal? Might have been the college football, but there was a game that was literally determined by the referees.
Arizona, Texas. I believe Arizona, Texas was the game.
Yeah, whatever, dude. So long as we win money betting, we move on. And even though I had a terrible 1-3 for my clients, I'm on a 15-5 NFL run. So we'll get it back. Brother, you got some prop bets for us on Monday Night Football. This is the last game of the wild card week. How do we bet it?
Yeah, I'm going to go into detail with exactly how I think this game is going to play out, Prez. The Vikes coming off that 31-9 loss at Detroit. Not exactly what I expected. In fact, we had a total in the 50s, in the mid-50s for that game. And when I see a total in the mid-50s or higher, I tend to stack prop bets on touchdown scores, passing yards, receiving yards, rushing yards, what have you. And that strategy has paid dividends for years. It didn't work out last week with the Vikes in Detroit, despite Detroit's defensive injuries. But one outcome is not going to determine whether that strategy is effective or not. I will lecture about that. The Vikes' problems, Sam Darnold. It was the biggest game of his career, throws for 166 yards on 18 of 41 passing. That's just 44% completions. I expect Darnold to bounce back here in an indoor game at a neutral site. Let's face it, he can't play much worse at 44% completions. It appears to be a good spot. He finished 5th in the NFL in passing touchdowns with 35, 5th in passing yards with over 4,300 yards. And it's not like the Vikes can lean on their running game. They rank 19th in the NFL in rushing with 109 yards per game. The Rams also not very good at running the football. They rank 24th. And we got two teams that each rank in the top 10 in passing. I expect both these teams to get their points here. Darnold and the Vikings faced LA. They lost 30-20 earlier this season. Darnold threw for 240 yards on 18 of 25 passing and a pair of touchdowns. I like his passing touchdowns over 1.5. Now I got a better line on this. This has been bet up. It's probably too expensive now to bet as a standalone bet. So it's still good for your single game parlays. And if you want to do a split bet where you put 75% on your stake on over 1.5 touchdowns and 25% on over 2.5 plus money, that will bring down your cost average for that bet, and hope he throws 3. In addition to that, I like Justin Jefferson to have a big game. As I said, I don't think Minnesota can come in here and attempt to run the ball. I haven't been that impressed with Aaron Jones. He's averaged 4.5 yards per carry. He's picked up over 1,000 yards, but he's only scored 5 touchdowns this season. His 4.5 yards per carry is a career low for him. And then backup Cam Akers, who has been performing a lot better lately, is suffering from an illness. He's listed as questionable, probably going to play, but probably not 100%. This Minnesota defense, they only allowed 17 points per game in their first 10 games, but in their last 7 games, they've allowed 23 points per game. The Rams defense, only 5 teams in the NFL gave up more passing touchdowns than this Rams team. Like I say, I expect to see points from both teams. And I'm also going to look at Jefferson over 90.5 receiving yards. So the 2 prop bets for this game, we got Darnold over 1.5 passing touchdowns and Jefferson over 90.5 receiving yards, Prez.
Jesse, thanks for doing this, man. We love having you on. Listen, 3-2 weekend is fine. Let's do that every single weekend for the rest of our lives. That's 60% win rate. So well done. Anything else you want to discuss?
I do have a 5% play up on my page for this particular Monday Night Football game, and I've got some pretty good stats with my 4% and 5% plays. The calendar year of 2024 just ended. I had 128 units of profit with my 4% and 5% plays. The way I'm running right now, Prez, I almost want to ask you guys to disable the drop-down menu that allows me to go under 4%. I should just stick to those 4% and 5% plays the way they're hitting.
Well, there you go. Good stuff. Jesse Schule, everybody. Good luck tonight. And guys, Jesse's got a 5% play up. Those are the strongest plays that we have over at WagerTalk. Still lots more to come. If you guys are enjoying the show, take a second out of your day and hit that like button. Literally 10% of you have hit that like button, and it baffles me. You're here. You're in the room. It's literally a click. Hit that like button. We need it. So I'm asking you guys to do that for me. I have an NHL play up tonight. I'm on a 14-3 run in NHL, and I love my play tonight. Only 3 games on tap. Check it out over at WagerTalk.com. Teddy Covers joining us. How was your weekend, brother?
Fortunately, we had a big play yesterday on Green Bay. That was no good, and my Saturday college hoops took an offer, so that wasn't very good either. We did cash in the NBA yesterday, so then we did cash with the Ravens. But overall, we're going to call it a losing weekend, and unfortunately, those do happen. But what we do on Mondays off a losing weekend, Prez, we look to bounce back.
Yeah, and we had the same experience, Teddy. I mean, I went 1-3 for my clients in NFL, so I'm not happy either. But that's in the past, and we move forward. Any takeaways from the wild card weekend so far that shocked you, pleased you, and that we could use for our future bets?
So it's an interesting question, and I'm not really sure how to answer it, Lawrence. Maybe we should go through game by game or something, because when you talk about the whole the weekend as a whole, obviously the NFL opening line report will be live 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern. After WagerTalk Today is done, myself and Drew Martin will break down the 4 games for this week from an early week opening line report perspective. But when it comes to this past weekend, I mean, what surprised me? Well, I was honestly not that much, which probably, I mean, the Chargers meltdown in the second half was something of a shock. That being said, I did lean Houston in that game, and I wasn't surprised to see the Texans play better than we thought they were. The Texans Chiefs games become very, very interesting. And you note in that game, there are 9s out there for Kansas City. There are also 8s. The 9s are specifically for teaser protection.
Yes.
So that's why they're out there. The 9 and an 8, when it comes to key numbers, neither one of them is particularly key. And the books that take a lot of teaser action will often post a 9 on a game that other books have 8. So you can't tease it down below a field goal. They know Kansas City is going to be very popular when it comes to teasers. But the Texans certainly gave the Chiefs a battle when these teams met a couple of weeks ago. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, I was only surprised that the Ravens didn't win by more. Baltimore controlled the game that I thought the way that I expected that they would. But with all these games, of course, with a run of unders this weekend, lots of long, slow, methodical drives. We saw Buffalo do that. We saw Baltimore do that. Those are the offenses, the elite offenses. They're not worried about big plays. They're worried about grinding out first downs, which, if you're playing overs this weekend, probably didn't do real well for your bankroll. But I don't know. Where do we want to go? Washington's win over Tampa yesterday. That was a what do we say about that game, Prez? It was red zone in execution for both teams. Tampa making the crucial mistake. And in so many of these games, we talk about Green Bay's special teams meltdowns or the bad turnover that Baker Mayfield had deep in his own territory. And those so many of these games are going to be decided on a mistake as opposed to someone doing something right. The team that made the fewest errors in every game ended up victorious.
Yeah, that Charger game was nuts. How many turnovers was there? 7 altogether in that game?
Houston was impressive in that contest. And what we're seeing is a little bit of betting market respect for Houston after that impressive performance. Although, again, it's a Texans team that's fighting with one hand behind their back with their receiving core the way it is right now. Nico Collins got banged up in that game. I have not yet seen an injury report. I think he'll be fine. But I do want to check on Nico Collins' status because he's an impact player for Houston in a world where Tank Dell and Steph Diggs are hurt. If you don't have Nico or near 100%, it's a big problem against a defense as good as Kansas City's.
I'll tell you, their pass rush was spectacular. That was the difference of the football game from my perspective. Teddy, let's move forward. 3 games, the lines are up. Let's look at some early thoughts. You and Drew will delve deep into this on your 1:00 Eastern show, the Opening Line Report, a real must-listen-to show that we produce. It's every Monday, Teddy and Drew, and Teddy will go through all these games. But let's have a quick rundown now of some early thoughts moving forward. Kansas City -7.5, 8, a couple of 9s. Total of 42. Detroit -8.5, some 9s, a total of 55.5. And Buffalo and Baltimore, pick 'em, a 1 out there for Buffalo in a few places, and a total of 51.5. Anything jump out to you?
So my initial lean, I'm going to look at Houston plus the points in Kansas City. I don't know that I'm going to get there, but my initial lean is this Texans team has potential moving forward. We do want to look at injury report, and I want to see the opposite. Much of Houston's win over LA and all of these wins was the Chargers stinking. The Chargers had issues down the backstretch of the season. They had only one pass catcher that could make plays in McConkey. McConkey made plays all day, but he was the only one for LA. Their offensive line wasn't good. Houston was able to blow that up. That's not going to be a matchup edge against Kansas City, and yet those two teams just played. It wasn't an early season matchup. That was a Week 16 matchup. It was a meaningful game for both teams, and Houston was competitive in that contest. Although the Chiefs, certainly from a situational standpoint off the bye, they've gotten healthier since then. They won that first meeting by 8. I don't know. I'm going to think about that, but I am leaning. My initial lean, the money. We've seen a little bit of under money coming in that ball game as well, Lawrence. When it comes to Detroit, Washington, a little bit of money for the Lions at the sharper books at the open. They're 8.5. Now I'm seeing more 9s in this ball game. 55.5, the prevailing total, and obviously off a weekend in which basically nothing went over the total, with the exception of that Houston game that got there late. And that only got there because of the blocked extra point that was returned for 2 points the other way. Total close 42, landed 44. That was what cashed that over. It wasn't anything on offense. It was a big special teams play that created 3 points instead of one that created that. Nonetheless, there was Tampa, Washington. I leaned over in that ballgame. I gave it as a free play on Bet on It, and that didn't get there. When we're talking about Detroit and Washington, these are two teams that both are going to – it's not about big plays. It's about grind. 55 and a half, 56 seems a little bit high for this better. And Baltimore, Buffalo, next Sunday night, that's going to be a heck of a game. That's a war. The winner of that game immediately becomes the favorite to come out of the AFC, despite the fact they have to go to Kansas City, in theory, or they'll get a home game against Houston. Nonetheless, the Buffalo-Baltimore winner is going to attract a lot of betting market attention moving forward. If you want to play that game, an alternative way to look at it might well be whichever team you think is going to win that game, play on them to win the AFC and or play on them to win the Super Bowl. I think you might get the best of the number now in that scenario, even though I don't believe in those type of future book wagers. Again, as I talked about last week, if you play Buffalo or Baltimore, money line, roll it over every week, you'll probably make more than you will on the Super Bowl future line. So that's the better way to do it.
Teddy covers. Let's turn our attention to some NBA. The Heat are playing the Clippers tonight, +6, total of 215. How are you betting this game?
Well, this is the Clippers' first game since those devastating wildfires in LA. And it's a real question. How should bettors expect them to react? It's a legit question. Should we expect the Clips, we're playing for our city right now? Or do we expect the Clips, hey, we're a little bit distracted. We've been dealing with significant off-court issues over the last 5 days. And that's a real question mark for tonight's game. How will the Clips react to the circumstances? And before I go on, I want to say, Lawrence, if you like this, give us a like. If you like this, give us a like. We appreciate it. Subscribe for more videos each and every day. And of course, want to let you know what's going on for me tonight. I'm in play on Rams and Vikings. I'm also in play with a single 4% NBA best bet for tonight, plus 140 units in the NBA, and off a nice right side winner yesterday with the Pacers, plus the points so you can keep it rolling this evening. But when it comes to this Clippers Heat matchup, look, the Clips are 1-4 straight up their last 5. They lost to the Spurs, Thunder, T-Wolves, Nuggets. Good teams, 3 of them very good teams. The last loss against Denver was largely non-competitive. 3 of the 5 losses, in fact, have come by 18 points or more. Kawhi missed that Nuggets game because his family was getting evacuated in LA. So clearly off-court distractions. Now, the Clips have been good home favorites. 7-2 their last 9 in this role. Their defense has been good at home, but this is a big off-court distraction. That being said, it's also a home game after a tragedy. You expect McAfee. Saturday game versus Charlotte was postponed. They haven't played since last Wednesday. Kawhi Leonard's an interesting story here because everyone's like, Kawhi's back, the Clippers are there. Well, again, 1-4 in their last 5. Kawhi's quote, we're still easing me into the game. We're not on nobody's timetable. Anyone watching that wants me to score 20 or 30 points or be aggressive, we're not on anyone's time frame. We know what's ahead of us. We have to keep building in the right direction. We treated my debut like it was a preseason game, and we'll keep moving the same way until I'm able to build up my minutes. Again, Kawhi sat the last game, so it's certainly a scenario in which I'm not expecting mid-season Kawhi Leonard for the Clips this evening, which makes me a little bit reluctant to lay this price. So Miami was in a world of hurt. All right, Jimmy Butler was suspended. They got blown out at home by Utah. Then they opened this road trip. They blew a 17-point fourth quarter lead and lost in double overtime at Sacramento. They scored 7 points the last 8 minutes of regulation in that ballgame. And the markets kind of crashed on Miami. And what's happened since that time? Well, they've peeled off rolled victories at Golden State, at Utah, at Portland, 3 in a row. Eric Spoelstra, quote, you go on the road, you have to have your defense travel. Things happen during the course of a long season. We just have to recalibrate and get back to our defensive identity. And that's exactly what they've done over the last 3 days. So Miami, sans Butler, they're focused on defense. Clips, This is not an offense that's in mid-season form right now. They're out of sync. So we're seeing this total 215, even 215.5 out there. That's too high for this bettor, under the clear choice for me. So again, if you agree, disagree, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching WagerTalk TV. Lawrence?
Teddy covers, everyone. Remember, guys, 1 p.m. Eastern. Teddy's doing a show live with Drew Martin. It is our opening line reports, one of the best shows we have. Teddy, I love having you on. Thanks for joining us, brother. Let's keep this show moving. We got Gianni the Greek still to come. Before we get into that, I want to give you guys an NHL play tonight. As discussed, I'm on a 14-3 run in the NHL. I have a client play up for my clients over at WagerTalk. You can get that play there. But I also love this play, and that is the under in the Philadelphia, Florida game. I'm just going to tell you guys, I'm going to be looking to play Philadelphia under moving forward. We played them on Saturday, our last bet in hockey. We played under 6, and it pushed. It was 6-0 for Philly over Anaheim, so we did not win that game. But this Philadelphia team, this is a team that played to the over for the entire first 2 months of the season. I mean, it was every game, goal scoring, allowing goals. They were going over some way or another on a regular basis. Well, that's changed in the last month, and this Philly team is now starting to take the identity of its coach, a coach that wants to play 2-1, 3-1, 3-2 type hockey games. And we have seen Philadelphia not go over 6 in 4 straight games and 6 of its last 8. So this is a team that's clearly heading in the direction of low-scoring games. As for Florida, this is a team that goes under more regularly than most people think. When you look at this Florida team and you know they're the Stanley Cup champs 2 times, they made it to the Stanley Cup championship in a row. And this is a team that has got Kachuk and Bennett and Barkov and whatnot. And you're like scoring. They are not an over team, guys. Although on the season right now, they're 21-20 and 2 to the over. That's only 1 game over. And as we get deeper into the season, more games are going to go under than over. So I look at this Florida team as an under team as well. And to give you perspective, they've gone under 4 of their last 5 and 6 of their last 8 as well. The total in this game is 6. I'm betting it under. Take Florida and Philadelphia under the total. Gianni the Greek joining us, everyone. And Gianni, how was your weekend, my brother?
Never better, brother. God bless America. I had a really good Saturday. Gave back a little bit yesterday. Tampa Bay did not come through for me at night, but I got a live teaser that's still going into tonight. I got a future on Ohio State, and I have a future on Baltimore that's live. So far, so good, man. Really excited about 2025 and moving along, brother, moving along. How was yours?
Yeah, you know what? It was a good weekend, personally. I went 1-3 for my clients in NFL. I just didn't see it correctly. But that happens. I'm still on a 15-5 NFL run. So we'll move on. I appreciate you asking, but I am in Florida right now at my parents' place in Boca Raton, and the weather, it's a beautiful day today. I'm with my daughter and my woman. So yeah, man, I'm not going to complain one bit. Let's look at the NFL card right off the bat you know what? Let's start with tonight, Gianni. What are you seeing and hearing out there on the Rams-Minnesota game?
Well, it's the movement of the venue now at State Farm Stadium. That was the question. What are we going to adjust? What is the adjustment for that move? A lot of guys, I thought, were expecting this to get up to 3, if even higher than the 3 on the Minnesota side. But it was the sharp money that has been on the Rams that I think has stopped that from happening. As we approach game time, it'll be interesting to see if more Minnesota money does come in. As far as the over-under, it's good two-way action. That's why it hasn't moved, even though the change of venue, it was like around 48, 47.5, and that's where it sits. It's one of those games where I just don't think the books are going to have too much risk. It's that Monday night primetime game, a ton of volume is what they're going to get. And it's probably one of those good games to be more of a bookmaker than a bettor. Personally, I have the Rams. I have the Rams on a teaser at +8.5 to cash my 4% that I tied into Buffalo earlier. And I'm not changing that. I like that Rams side. I do think this is a very winnable game for them. I thought Minnesota was a little bit overvalued coming down the stretch, and I think the Rams are a little bit undervalued. And again, the change of venue, I don't think is as big of a negative. And I think the narrative with watching the Chargers get blown out and all the bad that's happening in California, the disruption of practice, the disruption to their families, worrying about your families, your friends. But I think with the Rams, they didn't have that same distraction. I don't think, and it's almost impossible to quantify, but I don't think they're in the same situation. And I think that's why you haven't seen such a huge move. Even like the betting syndicates didn't jump on Minnesota as soon as that was confirmed. And that to me was a telling sign that possibly Minnesota was already a little bit overvalued at LA. And I don't think the change of venue is going to change that very much. Again, I like the Rams. And can I add this real fast? Just because of NFL, I'm not calling anyone out, but I saw a bet in the back end. You know, I have access to the back end to a book that has a ton of players. I saw this bet a lot the other day. It was on Baltimore and Philadelphia, Prez. I saw multiple recreational counts bet this. That's why I wrote it down, and I have to bring it up. Pittsburgh and Baltimore total was at 46, okay? I bet it under 46. I gave it out to my subscribers under 46. I also said it's a 4% up to 45. We're good to 45. Well, I saw in the back end a lot of recreational bettors that took Baltimore-Pittsburgh. They took it at under 46 minus 150. So it was at 44, and they elected to buy 2 points and laid minus 150 to get it back to 46. So if you take a step back, here's what that bet meant. At 44, which was what the price was, that was what the line was. At minus 110, they were saying they didn't think that it had a 53% chance of going under 44. They didn't think it had a 53% chance of doing that. But they thought it had greater than a 60% chance of going under 46, because at minus 150, that's what you're saying. If you're willing to lay 150, you're break even 60%. So you got to say it's a 63, 65, 70% chance. Like, in what universe does that make sense where you where you only think it has less than a 53% chance of staying under 44, but at 46, you're now confident over 60% it's going to do that? Like, again, those kind of bets are what the sports books live for. And bettors continue to do that over and over and over again, buying these points, thinking they have a different bet. They don't. Public service announcement, don't buy points. Don't buy points unless you know exactly what they're worth. Sorry, Prez. Had to share because I kept seeing it. Because bettors wanted to take the under, but they were afraid to go under 44, under 43. So instead, they're like, okay, I'll go under 45 or 46, but I'll lay 150 to do that. Again, you're now saying over 60% it'll stay under 46, but not 52%. It'll stay under 44. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and Gianni, I'll explain it another way as well, because this is a very important topic, and we talk about this on the show all the time. Never, and I mean never, pay 10 cents, 15 cents, or 20 cents for a half point ever. And on totals, that is just absurd betting. And the easiest way to explain it from my perspective is this. If you're going to bet under 44 at minus 110, and you're now going to pay an extra 40 cents to bet under 46, ask yourself, how many games that were under 44 cashed under 46 but not under 44? Was it an extra 35%?
What a great way to look at it. That's the simplest way to look at it. The crazy thing is it won. So now, unfortunately, those guys that made that bet are like, dude, I placed a great bet. Like the fact that it won, they conclude it was a good bet. Bad bets lose, good bets win, right? Nah, nothing could be further from the truth. Bad bets win all the time, just like good bets lose all the time.
And Gianni, you go this way and you go, okay, minus 3.5 at minus 110. Well, I'm going to buy that half point and go to minus 130. So now you are saying that's around a 18% difference, give or take. So you are saying that 18% of the games that are at minus 3.5 end on 3. Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean,
most people they're smarter than me. Most bettors out there are more educated. They're smarter than I am. I just think they don't take a step back and actually play it out in their mind. What am I actually saying by placing this bet? So yeah, don't buy points.
5 more minutes left of the show, everyone. Thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that like button. Gianni, anything for this upcoming round of playoff games starting on Saturday?
Nah, nothing yet. A little early. I started dabbling, looking at him today. I didn't pull the trigger at all. I like to wait till a little later in the day, Monday, when they settle, because a lot of books, that race to be first to market, they don't take big limits early. Even though it's the playoffs, the limits aren't as big as you would think until they settle a little bit. So there's a little manipulation even at this time going on. So I kind of like to wait a day or so just to see where it goes. No reason to really try to get out ahead of the market too much unless it's a weather-related situation, because in the playoffs, most of the information is baked into the cake. Everybody knows what's going on. It's just a matter of, does recency bias or any other biases force the books to change the line a little bit and possibly give us some value? So I'm waiting on those a little bit. More looking at the college football. Again, I said it at last call yesterday. I have a future on Ohio State, but I did see already Notre Dame in sharp accounts. I saw Notre Dame at plus 9.5. I even saw Notre Dame on the money line at plus 355, 345, 335 was the lowest money line I saw. So obviously some sharp bettors out there that do think the Notre Dame side poses value. I have to hedge it, don't I? We'll see. We have a week to do that. No rush.
Well, you know my feeling about hedging, and it's a topic we will discuss once we get some breathing room. So, no, I don't hedge anything ever, Gianni. I do want to say this to my listeners, because there are times that my clients have been told to buy a half point. So I want to reiterate that when that only happens when there's a minus 105. So if it is minus 3.5, minus 105, and I can get that to minus 3, minus 115.
Discounted half point, yes.
That is a totally reasonable, because then I'm paying 5% more than minus 110 to get me down. And those games, that 3.5 to 3 is around an 8% difference. So I'm actually getting great EV. I'm paying 5% for 8%. So those are those type of examples where it is reasonable to buy half points. With that said, don't pay 5% extra on, 10.5 to 10. It's every number is different all the way through. And literally the only one that mathematically works, if you can get that minus 105 to 115, is 3.5 to 3. Gianni the Greek joining us. Gianni, race through some hoops in NHL tonight, and then we'll call it a show.
Absolutely. Real quick, I got a plus 240 in soccer. It's a draw in Italy. Pisa, the Tower of Pisa, that thing that tilts, PISA, a bet against Catarese. You'll find it. It's the first game on the board. We bet the draw at plus 240. It's also at WagerTalk on my page. I'm putting a lot of those as free picks, so make sure you check that out every day. Some premiums on there for sure. Here's some college basketball for you. Regular board, 885, Boston College, plus 11.5, plus 11. Added board games, 306, 527. Alabama A&M, plus 9. Alabama State, minus 3. And Houston Christian, plus 15.5. Slow day so far as we approach Monday night playoff football. That's where the excitement is. Go Rams.
There we go. Gianni the Greek, everyone. What a fun show. Guys, I can't thank you enough for watching our show today. Tomorrow, we got a great lineup. It is a lot of hoops tomorrow. Ski Prophet will be joining us. We're going to talk NBA. Andy Lang, he's got an Australian Open update, plus some prop bets. Rob Vino with some college hoops, and we're going to end, like always, with Gianni the Greek. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the game tonight. Lots of love, everyone, and let's hope we all beat the books.